In this video, I will talk about purpose and tone in regards to writing. Purpose in writing refers to the reason an author writes a particular text. Some common purposes in writing include to inform, which is to provide facts and information about a topic, to analyze, which is to examine methodically and in detail to explain and interpret a topic or an idea, to persuade, which is to convince an audience to accept an opinion about a topic, to entertain, which is to write to amuse your audience, usually through the use of humor, to propose, which is writing a plan or suggestion to put forward for consideration, and then to summarize, which is a brief statement of key or main points. To help us think about purpose in writing, so you should always identify your purpose for writing something before you write it. Here are some questions to consider. Number 1, what is the primary purpose of the writing task? Number 2, what are your goals? Number 3, what do you want your audience to do, think, or feel? And how will they use what you tell them? Number 4, what does this writing task call on you to do? Do you have an assignment that specifies a specific genre or strategy? And genre just refers to the type of writing. For example, are you writing a narrative or a personal statement? Are you writing a persuasive essay where you're trying to convince someone to accept your opinion about a topic? And so forth. And what are the best ways to achieve your purpose? Let's take a look at this political cartoon and identify the purpose. Why did the author draw and write this cartoon? We can start by looking at audience and style too. The audience most likely are college students because they are college students, right? And the giant weight says student loan debt, so that's how we can assume they're college students, in addition to their conversation about spring break. The style, we can look at what we see in the picture and the words to help us identify the style, which also supports that we're looking at an audience for college students. And then the purpose of this cartoon is to make a statement about student loan debt and how out of hand student loan debt is in this country. In the next example, we have some whales and they are asking, do you think they'll accept climate change now? As they look at the Statue of Liberty, which is submerged in water. Audience, probably targeting people who do not believe in climate change and that it's negatively affecting our Earth. And the style, we can look at what's being given to us in the picture and the wording to come up with a style that's sarcastic, and the purpose is to draw more awareness about the very real consequences of climate change. Tone in writing refers to the author's feelings or attitude about a subject. In an academic style, the tone is objective or impartial. And that means that the writer is not showing any feelings for or against the topic. The writer is relying mostly or completely on factual information and stays neutral, as opposed to a fictional or personal tone, which is often objective, uses opinionated personal examples, and is often biased and informal. A little bit more about tone. An objective tone uses impartial language, which is not impersonal, judgmental, or emotive. So we're going to try to keep our opinions and our emotions out of the writing. Is a clear and accurate presentation of facts, events, and ideas as they are, rather than providing one's personal opinions or judgments on them. Tone for an academic style is also a presentation of an argument based around evidence, so facts and supported ideas, and not personal views, feelings, intuition, or emotion. It also works to avoid exaggeration and bias, typically avoids using first person, which I mentioned previously, but of course, again, there are exceptions and ways to use first person in an academic tone. Again, such as when you are writing about lived experiences, for example, in a research paper. And an academic tone shows respect for the views of others and allows room for others to disagree. With an academic tone, we want to avoid making 100% statements like all, never, always, because it's rarely the case we can say something is always one way or never one way. When we think about tone, these two words are important: connotation and denotation. Connotation refers to the literal dictionary definition of a word, so there's nothing else associated with the meaning of the word, whereas denotation goes beyond the literal dictionary definition of the word to suggest positive or negative emotions. So when we're thinking about style, we have to think about tone. So we have to think about word choice, because words can have emotions associated with them. So with an academic style, we want to be as neutral as possible. Looking at these examples, loneliness and independence. Independence has a more positive connotation, loneliness a more negative connotation. Tolerant and pushover. Tolerant has a positive connotation, pushover a negative connotation. Difficult and challenging. Typically, challenging has a positive connotation, whereas difficult is a more negative connotation. Direct and rude. Direct has a positive connotation and rude has a negative connotation. And cop or officer. Cop has a negative connotation, whereas officer has a more positive connotation. And just an example from Ekolu, the music group, and two of their different songs to look at two different tones in those songs. So the first song, Desecration. This is a desecration, an abomination. Rise up, stand up for Mauna Kea, Eo, Hawaiian Nation. Look at our kupuna, standing on the front line, arrested and extorted, taken by their own kind. You guys are Heva. How do you ever go to sleep at night? This tone is serious. It's condemning what happened on Mauna Kea, with the kupuna on the front line being arrested. Whereas drinking problem, people say I've got a drinking problem. That ain't no reason to stop. People say that I've hit rock bottom just because I'm living on the rocks. It's a broken-hearted thinking problem, so pull another bottle off the wall. People say I got a drinking problem, but I've got no problem drinking at all. So you can see this has a very different tone, which is a more humorous tone and a light-hearted tone compared to desecration. That concludes this presentation. If you have any questions about any of the information that I covered, please let me know. Mahalo.